Good afternoon, thanks. Thankful start the meeting to everybody here and on Zoom. Welcome to the Rotary Club of Raleigh. I'm your president, Tom Packer. It's our August 8th, 2022 meeting, and it's great to see everybody. It is Dominic's first official meeting as a member, so congratulations, Dominic. And we'll get to our guests later. But as we always do, please go ahead and continue getting your lunch. And we'll call Tommy up to start with the invocation and pledge of allegiance.
Thank you, President Tom. If you'd all bow your heads with us. Lord, thank you for gathering together this room, these people. We thank you for the mission of Rotary, for the heart of Rotary. We ask that each of us will be touched by the meeting today, not just to attend, not just to be reminded on a Monday what it's like to be a Rotarian, but that we would all leave here with the hearts of Rotarians and serve in that fashion out in our community and our daily lives and everyone that we come across. We'd like to remember those that are blessed by Rotary in different parts of the world and the lives that are improved by the work that's done here. May we never forget what our objective is as we head back out into the world. Thank you for this meeting, this place, and these Rotarians. Amen. 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 And if you'd all please rise for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Oh, beautiful, o'er spacious skies, o'er amber waves of grain, o'er purple mountains' majesties, above the fruited plain. America, America, God shed his grace on thee, and crown thy good with brotherhood, from sea to shining sea. R-O-T-A-R-Y, that's the Rotary. Please take your seats. Thanks, Tommy. Thank you.
And it's also good to have Eric back, who wasn't here last week because Hughes getting some hits up in New York, right? How'd it go, Eric?
It was tons of fun. Got to see a bunch of my Rotary brothers and had a great time. But we lost the second match, so we got to drink the rest of the weekend.
All right. Good. And Harrison and David are back from banking school. I don't know what kind of crazy stuff goes down there, but don't ask, don't tell. Don't ask, don't tell. Welcome back. So we'll start out with any guests that are here today. Linda, do you want to see that part as you usually do? Thanks.
Welcome, everybody. Happy Monday. We have a few guests today. Jessica, would you like to introduce your guest, please? And have her speak up?
Please welcome my guest John Newby. John's a graduate of Broughton High School, Fishburne for football. He played football basketball scholarship at UNC Chapel Hill Law School. He's currently working with the U.S. Federal Prosecutor's Office. John did.
And Laura's assistant, this unfortunately is his last meeting today. Would you like to just stand up and say hi to everybody?
Yeah, thank you all for having me in the last couple months. Really enjoyed learning about Rotary and appreciate all the work that you all do in the community. Thank you.
If we have anyone on Zoom, would you like to unmute yourself and introduce yourself? Okay, and I believe Bill McDormand has did you want to? Okay, good. Thank you.
And we also have one other guest who's here actually independent of our speaker today. She was invited by Harrison, Abby DeFeo, right?
Yep.
Yeah. Abby, you want to say something about what you do, who you are?
Sure. So I was initially invited by Harrison because our CEO with Special Olympics North Carolina, Hughes, is going to be here speaking with another athlete and member on staff, Kristine. So you guys will get to hear from them today. So it was just a coincidence that I had also had coffee with Harrison right before and he invited me out to the meeting. So I'm kind of here twofold to be with you guys today, but I am the Wake County Director with Special Olympics North Carolina. So I do all things right here, local program here in Raleigh. So looking forward to getting a chance to work with you and get to know you all.
Great. And remember the cart buckets, the money, installment and change that goes towards Alzheimer's research. Please remember those. And we also remember, if you find anything on Amazon, go to Amazon Smile Rotary, and it'll Rotary Club of Raleigh, and you get to us, and we get a cut. We actually, I don't know, we get, 40 to 50 bucks every quarter from Amazon, which helps from everybody here buying through Amazon to Amazon Smiles. Does anybody have any happy dollars? Anything happened since the last meeting? Charlie, you want to pass any happy dollars if you can?
I'm happy to be here today. Don't want to. Nobody's happy.
I know the news is usually slow in the summertime.
Yeah, it is.
Okay, all right, let's save it for next meeting. Which will be in a couple of weeks. Remember, next week, we don't have a meeting. We're taking our summer break. You can see that what we have planned for after that, with speakers coming up. I don't know about you, I think summer should get a speeding ticket, the way it goes by sometimes. In particular, there's a, actually read this last year, right? The same meeting I was guest hosting for Charles. Remember Charles? President last year. There's a great, I don't know, something I came across that I think is nice. So we're entering into the second week of August, and I thought I'd just read something about the time of year we can stand back and reflect where we are. The first half of August hangs at the very top of summer, the top of the long year, like the highest seat of a Ferris wheel when it pauses at its turning. The weeks that come before are only a climb from the balmy spring, and those that follow a drop of chill to the autumn. But the first half of August is motionless, and it's hot. It's silent too, with motionless dawns and glaring moons and sunsets smeared with color. Off in the late afternoon, there is lightning, the quivers all alone. So we can reflect on that as we head into the hot mid-summer break that we're about to take. And that leads us right into the nosy neighbors time. Tommy?
I don't know who found that graphic. That is awesome. Yeah, that's great. Kind of the Wilson from Tool Time. It's an element. Guys, Cliff Isaac is with us today. Cliff is a Red Badge Rotary member, and we're going to do nosy neighbor, play a couple questions with him, get to know him a little bit better. Cliff, would you start by just telling them who your family is, what you do for work? We'll start there, just real brief.
I'm from Fuquay, moved here almost 10 years ago as of next Tuesday, so I've been here 10 years. I'm from the private world and worked in government and worked my way all the way to deputy commissioner. And tried my hand at local government. Did my tour duty in Fayetteville. So I'm in the private world now, with right now. And do full service, so it's a engineering firm, and I just found out I've got about 24 projects added to the 158 I have.
Well, good. At least we'll keep you working hard. All right, so let's roll into some questions. You guys can get to know Cliff. Cliff, let's start with the biggest pet peeve.
I would say time cards. I get your time cards in. I do today. Otherwise, I'm getting a call from people.
And then the other question that we have on here that we'll tackle today, in all your years of business, what was the most memorable moment, good or bad?
There's been a few actually, but just the one that I was with DOT working on the Raleigh station. That was a special project. It was 7 years in the making. I came in the back and helped them go through all the bids and produced a great product. Still waiting on the stairs. That elevator, that escalator is supposed to be. That's it.
Very good. Ladies and gentlemen, round of applause for Cliff Isaac.
Next is, we rolled this out last year, and I wanted to remind everybody of it and make a request too. This is our Heritage Oak Legacy Society. So if any of you have remembered our Rotary Club of Raleigh Foundation in your estate plans, in your will, we established this society to honor you, remember you. Once a year, we'll get together and we passed out brochures to everyone last year. We'll do it again at some point. But this is a request. We want to make sure we've identified everybody who has done that. So if you have remembered the Rotary Club of Raleigh Foundation in your estate planning, please let me know. Send me an email or let Linda know, just so we make sure we have everybody gathered up in that group so we know. And as you go forward in the club and think about your life, about what sort of your legacy you may want to leave in the future, let's keep the foundation in mind, if you will, because you've seen what a lot of good it does, and the money we raise. Eric Larson is doing a fantastic job and has been for years as the chair of the foundation. Eric, as you know, become president, is our president nominee, and so we've been very fortunate to have Patty Rooney agree to take over as being chair of the foundation when we make that transition as well. So the foundation will be in good hands and doing good for a lot of good in the community going forward. So anyway, just keep us in mind. And again, if you have already done so or want to, let me know or Linda know so that we can know who's involved. Thanks. Next is the service report. You probably saw it, you follow us all on social media and in the weekly bulletin. Our habitat build out that we had a couple weekends ago. We talked about it last meeting as well. But Richard Everett, our service chair, I believe, is on Zoom today. And so Richard wants to talk about upcoming service projects. Richard?
Good afternoon, Tom and fellow Rotarian guests. Hope you're doing well. Our next service project will be August 20th. We're doing a stream cleanup of Bridge Creek. It's behind Lions Park in North Raleigh. On the weekly bulletin that comes out on Mondays, there's a sign-up sheet. Now, we have 15 spots to fill, and currently only President Tom and I are signed up. So we're not meeting next week, so I want to encourage everyone to sign up. This is a low lift project. We'll go out there about 9 o'clock and have some vests and water and and fellowship and clean up for a couple hours. We'll be done by 11, but we're going to make a big impact. But I strongly encourage you, especially our new members, to sign up. This is a great way to see Rotary in action and see some of the work we do in our community. So again, it's August 20th. That's coming up here very shortly. This is a kid-friendly project for those of you with families. Anyone 10 and up with adult supervision can participate. And last week, we confirmed our September project. As many of you know, September has been recognized as a month of service. And on Saturday, September 10th, we will be giving back to some of our emergency responders with the Day of Fun. We're going to go to Horses for Hope, and we're going to help them put out a cookout and help their treat the first responders and the families to an afternoon of pony rides and trail rides, and basically just do it up for them, all the things they do for our community. We'll have a link up for that after the river cleanup. But again, this is another fun, different way to serve our community. And this is especially important to our first responders falling right before September 11th. So again, please look at your Monday bulletin, sign up for this service event, and I look forward to seeing you on the 20th. Thank you.
Okay, thank you, Richard. I remember when I first joined the club 8 years ago, I think. One of the first events I did, Kirk, you may have been president, we did a stream cleanup somewhere kind of near the outskirts of NC State. I just know it ended up being behind an apartment building where NC State students lived. It was kind of turned out to be an archaeological dig of beer cans over the years. But every investment or so that's out there, that's a great way to just meet other people in the club. And as Richard mentioned, on the 20th, when we have this, it's close by, it's behind Lions Park in Northeast Raleigh. It's only for 2 hours. It's actually shady in the area, and the stream does need cleaning up. I've been there, scouted it out. So please consider signing up. Next, I believe, is membership. Harrison.
Thanks so much. Hello, everyone. It's so good to see everyone again. I think I wasn't able to be here last week. David actually, funny, reminded me coming into this. So David has been in banking longer than I have. He's older than I am, but I'm my junior year of banking school, and he is just finished his freshman year. So I am an upperclassman. Thank you for that. Anyways, so good to be back. To Abigail, John, and Adam, thank you guys so much for being here. I hope that you see in this service, as well as the conversations you have with the people that brought you, why Rotary is such a huge impact in our community and what we're trying to do. If you have a heart for community, I hope that you find a home here. So with that, we have today, I think we're going to try to bring over. We have our second reading for Sean Olenek. He was actually on Zoom last week. So Sean, not putting you on the spot, but we've actually brought you up on the screen so everybody can see the face of the name. So if you want to wave, feel free to. Thank you so much. So today we have our second reading for Sean Olenek. He is sponsored by Terry Reeves. Sean graduated from Western Kentucky University in 2001 and then was a U.S. Navy. I went to the U.S. Navy as a naval officer. He has been with Boy Scouts of America since 2004, serving in multiple capacities, but now serves as the Deputy Scout Executive for the O'Shaughnessy Council here in Raleigh. He's a former Rotarian, so he knows Rotary with the Philadelphia Rotary Club as well as the Rotary Club of Columbia. And truly honored and excited to have him, and glad that Terry was able to get him plugged in with our group, and especially like those Boy Scouts. I hope we can find creative ways to partner with them to make a huge impact in our community. So if you haven't had the opportunity, hopefully we'll have him here at the next meeting to do his induction. Make sure to say hello to him. But if you've got any questions about Sean, feel free to reach out to me. So thank you so much for being here on Zoom, John. And that's it.
Okay, great.
Thanks, Justin.
And for Florida one fit. Birthdays, Charles King, later this week, and David Forrest, August 19th. And anniversaries, Reagan and Ardith Weaver, today, their 41st. Reagan, if you're on Zoom, congratulations. Pete, Jennifer, Coney. Pete's here, there you go, congratulations.
Thanks for reminding me.
You know, 5 days, 5 days, 5 days. You know where David is. And then Kevin and Jimmy Summers on the 17th. And I think that brings us to our speakers today. And I'll say a short introduction to both of them. Keith Fishburne is the CEO of the Special Olympics of North Carolina. And he's been to the Special Olympics of North Carolina since 1989. We were talking before the meeting, and he actually told me their offices used to be in the Briggs Hardware building on Fayetteville when it was still a mall, just before they made it a mall. And they left just as soon as they started jackhammering it, unmaking it a mall. But he became its chief executive officer in 1997. And Keith leads one of the largest Special Olympics programs in the world with nearly 40,000 registered athletes across the state. And I've had the pleasure of knowing Keith for several years now, primarily through my wife Leslie, who's served on the board over the years. And with Keith today, and we welcome very much, is Kristine Hughes. And Kristine is now a Carey, formerly I learned before of San Jose, California, but Kristine's from Carey and a Special Olympics athlete and has been involved for 20 years. And she served in many leadership roles in the organization, in addition to being a Special Olympics athlete. Those of you who haven't had direct contact with Special Olympics, I think you'll find that's a very, very special organization that has stood the test of time and is growing even more in our community and throughout the world. So we're fortunate to have Kristine here today to tell us more about Special Olympics. So try to come up and we start.
We appreciate the invitation to come back and visit with you and tell you a little bit about our story. Going to do a few things today. As Tom mentioned, Leslie, his wife, is on our board. And not only is she on our board, she's also our attorney. So I always turn to Leslie when I have legal issues, and she and Alice Winters are generous enough to donate this service to us. So tell Leslie I gave her a plug. Couple things we're going to do. I want to first educate you about what Special Olympics is. Many of you may know that, but some may not. And then Tom has asked me to focus in on our work in health. Many of you probably see Special Olympics as a sports-related organization, which we are. But there's so many other things behind the scenes that we've been doing over the past 15 years plus in the area of health and wellness. So I'm going to focus in on that with a few remarks. And then I want you to hear the actual impact of Special Olympics on one of our athletes. So that's going to be Kristine's job. But Abby tells me, and as you met earlier, Abby is our Wake County director, that we have a Special Olympics athlete, I believe, in the room, Kaylee Bird. I hope I said that correctly. Kaya Bird. So Kaya, welcome. Let's give Kaya a round of applause. Yes, here today. But if you would, we've got a video that is narrated by our Special Olympics athletes that will give you an overview.
Before I found Special Olympics North Carolina, I was not happy. I was in a dark place. I did not feel like I belonged. I did not have much confidence, and I was very lost. That's the case for so many people with intellectual disabilities around the world. But they found Special Olympics and everything changed. Since 1968, Special Olympics has used the power of sports to change the lives of people with intellectual disabilities. Certainly individuals who have been told they cannot, for most of their lives, find a place where they are told they can't. They can train and compete in sports. They can be more confident. They can have friends, jobs, families. They can be just like everyone else. But more importantly, Special Olympics changes attitudes. People start to see what individuals with intellectual disabilities can do instead of what they cannot do. Communities become more accepting.
Special Olympics has given me a place where I can be myself and friends who appreciate me for my abilities. I love being part of the team. I feel included when I'm at Special Olympics North Carolina practice or competition. Thanks to Special Olympics, this feeling is something more and more people will experience every day. Special Olympics unified sports brings people with and without disabilities together. They actually practice and compete alongside each other. Playing sports brings us together, but it's not the only place inclusion matters. Special Olympics Unified Champion Schools give students with and without disabilities the opportunity to be leaders in their schools and communities. Through their example, those around them learn to be more accepting of everyone on and off the field of play.
Special Olympics pushes athletes to achieve their very best in sports and in life, but you can't compete to your highest potential if you aren't healthy off the field. Special Olympics health programming seeks to create a future world where people with intellectual disabilities have the same opportunities to be as healthy as people without intellectual disabilities. Special Olympics North Carolina is doing its part to make sure North Carolina will be among the leaders in improving the health of children and adults with intellectual disabilities. Special Olympics has pushed me to be the best athlete and leader that I can be in my community and for Special Olympics. Special Olympics athletes lead the way as the voices of the movement, taking on meaningful roles in their communities and educating the world about the potential of people with intellectual disabilities. These athletes drive the Special Olympics movement forward with their opinions and are shining examples of what it means to be a leader.
When Eunice Candy Shriver founded Special Olympics in 1968, she planted seeds in her garden. Special Olympics athletes are unflappable. Each time an athlete finds their voice, reaches their highest potential, and changes attitudes, a new flower blooms. But now it's our turn to plant seeds, to give a new athlete a chance to bloom. Here is your seed. Come join us.
Thank you. I hope you enjoyed that, and truly telling Special Olympics from the words of the athletes. I want to go to a point that Roma was talking about, and that's the Healthy Athlete program. Healthy Athletes really had its start. Raleigh was a strong start, and I look to Catherine because we had the World Games in 1999 here in the Triangle, and there was this concept of Healthy Athletes where we would do non-invasive health screening for the athletes in various disciplines. So eyesight, hearing, checking their feet, blood pressure, those types of things. And we were discovering a lot of problems with the athletes. And so Healthy Athletes became something that we reached out to the medical world, which was something that we had not done a lot of in our organization, because traditionally we were just looking for people who could coach sports. But we were slowly seeing, after so many years of our existence, that if the athlete isn't healthy, then the athlete isn't going to perform well on the field of play. And so it just made sense to us that we would carry out this program. And it's not just a North Carolina program, it's a global program. The United States, of course, is taking the lead in this. And so we developed all these partnerships. And then soon after that, we were doing this at events. So we were really, whenever we brought the athletes together, we would have these screenings. And then we would hope that when we sent them home, if we identified something wrong, that the parent or the caregiver would make sure that that follow-up care occurred. What we also discovered, though, was that we needed a more long-term program, something that was more embedded into the community. And so we created a program called Healthy Communities, again, which is implemented around the world. And North Carolina is an official Healthy Community program as deemed by Special Olympics International. And these are more ongoing programs, again, embedded in the communities where we have partnerships with health organizations. And we're also working with schools and colleges where health professionals are educated and taught. Because what we found in our research is that many of those healthcare professionals aren't taught how to work with people with intellectual disabilities. And you can imagine the spectrum of folks and what those doctors and healthcare people need to do to understand how to treat and how to communicate with a person with an intellectual disability. So 2 programs there, very vital, very active in North Carolina. Now, I'll give you the side note, as all of us in our industries and businesses, the pandemic shut us down for 2 years. And obviously with healthcare providers, we did not have access for the past 2 years. And so we have just recently begun to reactivate our health programming. Tom tells me that down is up. So, can you take me to the, yeah, that's the slide. So what we found in our research at Special Olympics is that people with intellectual disabilities are 2 times as likely to be obese, 2 to 4 times as likely to be less physically active. They're likely to have a life expectancy reduced by an average of 20 years. And this is all compared to people without intellectual disabilities. They're 5 times as likely to have diabetes, 2 times as likely to have cardiovascular disease and asthma. And I'm going to leave this up for you to digest it, because this is what scares us the most in our world. You know, it used to be what scared us was the thought of, are we really going to put on a good sports competition for our athletes? Well, I think we nailed that after 54 years. But this is where we are really throwing a lot of our attention, because just like the general population, we all want to identify the things that maybe we could do to improve our own health. And so finding this out about, in general, people with intellectual disabilities is where we're going to concentrate just about everything that we have. Here in North Carolina, we have a number of schools and universities, and I won't go down the list, it's a long list, but we're going to partner with them to provide them the trainings and exercises that they need to work with people with intellectual disabilities. We've got a whole crew of people out of our international office in Washington that come in and help to do that for schools. We've done it for East Carolina, with Duke, with Carolina, with Campbell. So it's pretty widespread. We're also going to begin a series of what we refer to as MedFest, but these are basically a chance for the athletes people with intellectual disabilities to come in and get physical exams. And again, we're partnering with groups like Novant Health down in Charlotte, and Wake Forest staff that's over in Mississippi. So there's just a lot of great opportunities there where we're going to create those kind of partnerships to bring the athletes in. In many cases, you may wonder, how do you get the athletes to these locations? We're working with the schools, or we've got the funding, believe it or not, through the CDC that we can use for things like transportation and any other kind of supplies and support that we need. So all of our federal tax dollars also are being put to work for Special Olympics through some of these programs. So a lot of great things going on in the world of Special Olympics. This kind of touches on that concept of health and what we're doing to make sure our athletes feel good and are well when they come back on the field of play. And at this time, I want to transition to a section that I title on a slide, and I won't try to find the slide since I can't work this thing, but it's in our own words. And you were introduced earlier to Kristine Hughes. But Kristine is an accomplished Special Olympics athlete, leader in the movement, and I think she's got a pretty good story to tell you in her own words, the impact of Special Olympics. So please welcome Kristine.
I'm honored to be here with you today in person. I want to thank you for allowing me to say a few words on behalf of all the Special Olympics athletes in North Carolina. As an athlete, employee, and supporter of Special Olympics North Carolina, I love taking on leadership roles and I'm proud to be able to give back to this great organization. But before I talk about what Special Olympics has done for me and how it has impacted my life, I want to tell you about my story. My story starts before my involvement with Special Olympics. When I was growing up, I had no idea that my life is different than the folks around me. I knew I felt different, but didn't know why. During my younger years, I played sports, excelling in tennis, soccer, and softball. And that's what helped me get through middle school to college. Despite being an athlete, I faced constant bullying throughout my time in school. Growing up, I struggled with not having a permanent home, being removed from my adopted home, into foster care system, and living in new home settings. Before knowing of my intellectual disability, I served in the California Conservation Corps as a forest firefighter and served in the United States Navy, looking for a direction in life. But I've never truly felt at home except when playing sports. In 2000, when I was 30 years old, I found out that I had been diagnosed as a child with fetal alcohol syndrome, and I now knew why I felt different all those years. Imagine what it's like to live with an intellectual disability for 30 years without knowing it. From my perspective, I lived the first half of my life up to 2000 in one world I called normal, and then another world with intellectual disabilities. And I didn't feel welcome in either world. That is when Special Olympics came into my life. I began my 20-year Special Olympics experience in 2002 in Idaho. But my personal growth in the organization began when I joined Special Olympics North Carolina in 2008. How has Special Olympics changed my life, you ask? That's a good question. My life before Special Olympics involved a lack of confidence in myself and abilities. I would run away, fear, and have a lack of trust with others anytime I faced a challenge. All that changed when I started becoming a leader in Special Olympics. In 2010, I took part in a speakers training program offered by Special Olympics, which made me a global messenger. When I first was offered the opportunity to become a global messenger, I was not sure I wanted to make presentations in public. I was afraid to talk in front of people and was also a very private individual. I felt that sharing my story with the world would be scary. But I faced my fear. Since then, I've had opportunities to speak on national television on a Robin Roberts special that aired prior to the 2015 Special Olympics World Summer Games in Los Angeles. I also was interviewed alongside NASCAR driver Clint Boyer on ESPN and 16 other media stations. Well, I have to say, I finally made it on ESPN, not as an athlete, but as an athlete official. But I made it. It was an awesome experience, and it began to mold me into the leader I am today. Being a global messenger is just one of my leadership opportunities in Special Olympics North Carolina. I have been trained as a games management team member, an athlete official, an athlete assistant coach, a global messenger speech coach, and an athlete clinician, and an ambassador. Even though I've had all these opportunities, it's not about what I have done, but what I hope to show my fellow athletes. And that is, no matter what anyone says, you can do whatever you set your mind to do. I want to leave you with this quote about how I feel about my disability. My disability does not stop me. My disability has not stopped me. My disability will not stop me. Thank you for having Keith and myself here to talk to you about Special Olympics. I've enjoyed sharing a little bit about my life has changed since I joined the wonderful world of Special Olympics. If you have any questions, please feel free to ask us after the meeting. Thank you.
Well, thank you, Kristine, and I never want to have any other words after she speaks, so I'm going to keep it brief. If you want to get involved in Special Olympics here in Wayne County, adding to your person, if you have any interest in things around the state, I'll be glad to talk to you. Like you, we are a global organization, so we've got things going on all over the world. We're happy to connect you or your friends or family, wherever they may be. So again, we're very grateful for being here today. Thank you.
Try to come back up before you get an unright seat. Are there any questions though of either Keith or Cindy?
So you mentioned a couple of the healthcare of yours, like with Charlotte, Winston-Salem. Are you partnering with any of the like weight meds or anybody here?
We are. We're talking to a lot of the local hospitals and medical groups, and we've got individuals who maybe will volunteer with us and they work for them, so there's not an official partnership. But yeah, there's definitely a lot of things going on here. We have our state level summer games every year here at NC State. If you ever notice, the first week of June, we're all over NC State and around the Triangle. So a lot of our health folks are here in the Triangle. The thing about the pandemic is that, again, we lost contact for about 2 years with a lot of them. So we're really working hard to reestablish those relationships.
Well, one of your big fundraisers right now, I recall it over the top.
Over the edge. Yeah.
Over the edge.
Yeah. Thank you. And that was not a planted question, by the way.
I've been over the edge.
You've been over the edge. Well, we have a handout. We're going to leave over the edge is October the 1st, which is repelling the Wells Fargo building, just a couple of blocks over, 30 stories. You raise $1,000, you get to have a slot on October 1st to repel. We also do the playing pool every year. The playing pool is a legacy of the World Games in 1999. First time we ever did that was in 99 at Fishburne, North Carolina, and we kept that event going. That's the weekend of Halloween in October. We do polar plunges all over the state, jumping in pools or lakes or the ocean down in Wilmington. Lots of different events, special events for sure.
And I could say, you could face, if I could face my fears and do it 6 years in a row, we're falling down that building, you can face your fears as well.
That's great.
Oh, is still on? I think we need to have a Rotary team for the pool playing pool.
Actually, it's
Yeah.
That's a good idea.
And Kurt just said he would volunteer to do it.
Okay, good.
Is there a chiropractor? And as everybody, when we conclude later, as you leave, just on the edge of the buffet table is information about their fundraising events and a brochure about Special Olympics. So with that, I need to just sit down and present you just with a token of our appreciation. Rotary Cups to think of us while you're having your morning coffee. And we enjoyed your talk very, very much. And please come back and see us again sometime. Thank you. Thank you. Thanks, sir. That was just great. Well, remember, we're not meeting again for a couple of weeks, so enjoy that top of the Ferris wheel as we begin our new dog. And the heat will last for the rest of the month. But come back on August 22nd because we'll have just finished the spring project, and the woman in charge of all the spring projects in Raleigh in environmental waterways issues and all that. Joyce Gaffney will be here to talk to us, and we can tell her how we did the previous Saturday. So with that, we'll conclude with the four-way test. You all stand, please. Of the things we think, say, and do, is it the truth? It's the truth.
We're all concerned. Goodwill and friendship.
Will be beneficial to all concerned. Hi, sir.